He observed three great and comprehensive truths, indicating in decisive form their offering of thanks to the Creator and Provider, and their testimony to His unity. The first, their being brought into existence with wisdom and purpose, and their creation full of art in a fashion that in no way can be attributed to chance, to blind force, or inanimate nature. Their being created and composed in purposive and knowledgeable manner. Their animation in being given life in a way that displays in 20 aspects the manifestation of knowledge, wisdom, and will. All of this is a truth that bears witness to the necessary existence of the eternally living and self-subsistent. His 7 attributes in unity, a witness repeated to the number of all animate beings. The second, there appears from this a truth so vast and powerful that none other than the one powerful over all things, the one knowledgeable of all things, could lay claim to it. This comprehensive act, which displays in every respect thousands of wonders and instances of wisdom, it is impossible and precluded that anything other than such a one could lay claim to it. The third, the emergence and unfolding of those countless creatures and their hundreds of thousands of different shapes and forms, each of which is a miracle of wisdom. Their emergence from eggs and drops of water called sperm that are identical with each other or closely resemble each other and are limited and finite in number. All of this, in the most orderly, symmetrical, and unfailing fashion, is so brilliant a truth as to be illumined with proofs and evidences as numerous as the animals themselves. By the consensus of these three truths, all the species of animals are engaged together in testifying that there is no God but He. It is as if the whole earth, like a great man, were saying, there is no God but He, in a manner benefiting its vastness and conveying its testimony to the dwellers of the heavens. The traveler saw this and understood it perfectly. In expression of these truths, we said in the 7th degree of the first station, there is no God but God, to whose necessary existence in unity points the consensus of all animals and birds that praise God and bear witness to Him with the words of their senses, their faculties and powers, words well balanced, ordered, and eloquent, with the words of their limbs and members, words perfect and persuasive, by the testimony of the sublimity and the comprehensiveness of the truth of bringing into being, making and creating, according to will, the truth of distinction and decoration, according to purpose, and the truth of proportioning and forming, according to wisdom. Definite, too, is the indication given by the truth of the opening of all their orderly, distinct, variegated, and infinite forms, out of identical or similar eggs and drops of sperm that are finite and limited. The second truth, the absoluteness, the comprehensiveness, and appearance in infinite form of the dominical deeds seen at work in the cosmos. It is only God's wisdom and will that limits and restricts these deeds, as well as the inherent capacities of the objects in places in which they manifest themselves. Stray chance, dumb nature, blind force, unconscious causality, and the elements that without restriction are scattered in every direction. None of these can have any part in the most balanced, wise, perspicacious, life-giving, orderly, and firm deeds of the Creator. They are used rather by the command, will, and power of the glorious doer as an apparent veil to conceal his power. We will set forth 3 from among the numerous subtle points that relate to the 3 deeds indicated in 3 continuous verses in Surah Al-Nahl. The first. Your sustainer inspired in the bee that it should seek a dwelling place in the mountains. The bee is, with respect to its disposition and function, such a miracle of God's power that a whole surah, Surah Al-Nahl, has been named after it. For to inscribe to the minute head of that little honey machine a complete program for the fulfillment of its important task, to place in its diminutive stomach the most delicious of foods and to ripen it there, to place in its sting poison capable of destroying and killing animate beings without causing any harm to its own body or to the member in question, to do all this without the utmost care and knowledge, with exceeding wisdom and purposiveness, partakes of a perfect orderliness and equilibrium, and hence unconscious, disorderly, disequilibrated nature and accident could never interfere or participate in any of this. The appearance and comprehensiveness of this divine craft, this dominical deed, which is miraculous in 3 separate respects, in the countless bees that are found scattered over the earth with the same wisdom, the same care, the same symmetry, at the same time, and in the same fashion, this is self-evident proof of God's unity. The second verse. There is for you a lesson in cattle. From what is within their bodies, between excretions of blood, we produce for your drink milk, pure and agreeable to those who drink it. This verse is a decree overflowing with useful instruction. To place in the nipples of cows, camels, goats, and sheep, as well as human mothers, in the midst of blood and excrement, but without being polluted by them, a substance the exact opposite, pure, clean, pleasant, nutritive and white milk, and to inspire in their hearts tenderness toward their young that is still more pleasant, sweeter and more valuable than milk. This requires such a degree of mercy, wisdom, knowledge, power, will, and care that it cannot in any way be the work of turbulent chance, of the tangled elements, or of blind forces. The manifestation, workings, and comprehensiveness of so miraculous a dominical act and so wise a divine deed over all the face of the globe, in the countless hearts and breasts of innumerable mothers, of hundreds, of thousands of species, in the same instant, the same fashion, with the same wisdom and the same care. This too constitutes a self-evident proof of God's unity. The third verse. From the fruits of the date palm and the vine you take sugar and fine nourishment. Verily therein is a sign for a people possessing intelligence. This verse invites our attention to the date and to grapes, saying, for those of intelligence, there is great proof, argument, and evidence of the divine unity in these 2 fruits. These 2 fruits yield nurture and sustenance, fresh and dry fruit, and give rise to most delicious forms of food. Yet the trees that bear them stand in waterless sand and dry soil, and are thus miracles of power and wonders of wisdom. They are each of them like a factory producing sweet sugar, a machine manufacturing honey-like syrup, a work of art created with perfect order and sensitive balance, wisdom, and care. Hence anyone with a grain of intelligence will say on contemplating them, the one who made them in this fashion may very well be the creator of the whole cosmos. For in front of our eyes, each vine branch the thickness of a finger will hold 20 bunches of grapes, and each bunch will in turn contain hundreds of sugary grapes, each like a little pump emitting syrup. To clothe the surface of each grape with a fine, delicate, thin, and colorful protection, to place in its delicate and soft heart seeds with their hard shells, which are like its retentive faculty, program, and the story of its life, to manufacture in its stomach a sweetmeat like the helva of paradise, a honey like the water of Kawthar, to create an infinite number of such grapes over the face of the entire earth with the same care and wisdom and wonderful art, and at the same time and in the same fashion. This proves in self-evident fashion that the one who fulfills these tasks is the creator of the whole cosmos.